How you doing, fight fans? It's Timmy Shoes with Inside Fighting, and I've got an amazing guest with me here today, Jamal Pogues, coming off of his big win at UFC Vegas 85. Jamal, thank you for being here. How you doing, my man?
Good, man. It's a pleasure being here. I feel like anytime you get to talk about yourself or get your name out there is always a pleasure.
Now, I wanted to ask you how the eye's doing. It looks better now, but after the fight, it was pretty messed. Oh yeah, it's still messed up, huh? Yeah,
So
he
much
got you
of it.
pretty good, huh?
Yeah, towards the end it was hurting. I put an ice pack on my eye, no like bad damage. So, I was able to see probably by perfectly, I guess, like within a couple seconds, whenever. But after the fight, put an ice pack on there, took a nap, took a Tylenol, and I was good.
All right, that's good to hear because I was, a little bit worried. Sometimes guys get poked, sometimes they need surgery or they got abrasions and stuff. So that's good. That's good to hear. You said after the fight that you were a little bit disappointed in your performance, but I thought your striking looked as crisp as it ever has, especially your left hand. I know you were dealing with a hand injury. I don't know if it was your right or your left hand, but I thought your left hand especially was crisp. I mean, you were tagging him with some really good shots. Do you feel like you fight out of orthodox, but your left straight and your left hooks, they're really on point. Do you feel like your left hand is your best weapon in the striking?
Yeah, I definitely worked a lot of Muay Thai. I broke my right hand to answer your question when I fought
Okay.
Parisian. And one of the things I learned from boxing so many years, was my box coach always told me, lead with the jab. The
Yep.
jab's gonna lead you to victory, and I took that with me to many gyms, to many sparring sessions,
Mhm.
obviously into fights, and I realized that when you control the distance, your front hand, you know what I mean? Like you can do
Yep.
everything else, I feel like it's my main one. And I think that's why one of the things of switching over to Muay Thai kind of in the long run is going to be a little bit beneficial because I feel like for me it's going to take away the workload from that arm, and give my
Right.
other tools a chance to work. So, and that's the thing is that even with the kicks and the knees and elbows and stuff, that the jab's still coming right back, and
Yep.
for me and my performance basically was more numbers, more punches,
Mhm.
even after the fight, talking to him, he was just like, dude, you hit hard as hell. You hit harder than you think you do. But he was like, and in my mind, I'm just like, I don't hit hard enough. You didn't go away, But, but it's just one of those things where, I always pride myself on my jab and keeping that distance and controlling it. I'm not scared to wrestle. I'm not scared to grapple, but I always use that lead hand that helps me gauge everything. And even when I go southpaw, I use my right hand more.
Right.
The right hand, when I lead. So I've always worked both sides when it comes to the jabs and the hooks, but that was something that was kind of the game plan in the fight. John Wood made a good call out going to the second round. He's like, you need to stay on that jab, you need to
Mhm.
stay on that left hook because he's leaving it open, him rushing in. So it was honestly that was John Wood's calling and him seeing that who kind of helped guide me towards the second and third round.
Right. Well, it paid dividends because, they say the jab sets everything up and, your elbows out of the clinch were really nice too. So that jab was really working. I wanted to ask you, your nickname's the Stormtrooper. I like Star Wars. Where does that come from? Where did you get the nickname the Stormtrooper?
I'm gonna give you a quick story. Rest in peace, this man named Jason Glaza, and then Joe Daddy Stevenson. They gave me that fight name.
Mhm.
And what happened was I had an old coach of mine before, me joining Joe Stevenson and his team. Just talked bad about me, telling me I wasn't never going to make it. I'm trash. I'm all this, everything you can think of. It was,
Mhm.
being said. And I let it go on for, I say over a year. Like I let it go on for over a year. And then I think I got done with like maybe two fights at the, like I don't know what happened. Like I got done with like two fights, and it was like, and then he made like a comment on Facebook. So then I ended up going to his gym and called him out. I was like, bro, let's fight. Like, I'm tired of you talking. I'm tired of you talking. And
Mhm.
obviously, that was a big problem. That started a lot of things. I was young. I was angry. I was mad. But then eventually, they told me they're like, dude, you can't be going to people's place and fucking this shit up, and you can't be like, you can't do that. Like, they kind of was just like, dude, you gotta be smarter. You gotta be more mature. And then after that, they were like, we got your fight name, the Stormtrooper. Okay, they were like, that's the Stormtroopers do, just go in there and fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And then that name kind of, stuck with me, over the
Mhm.
years, because it was just like, winning fights I should have lost, and beating guys when I was the, crazy, crazy, like, underdog, and going into people's hometowns and beating them. So that kind of name just kind of stuck with me, So even like, last Saturday, same thing, it was just like, it was that stormtrooper move, everyone was against me. Everyone thought Thomas Peterson had it, then I go win. So it's always like that name always like stuck with
Yeah.
me. I guess, that's like part of my career.
Well, it's a great nickname. I love the nickname. And I thought, maybe you would consider changing it to the President Slayer, because I don't know if you saw all those memes about him, Thomas Peterson getting called Thomas Jefferson. I was like, all right, he's a stormtrooper, but he's also a President Slayer now because he just beat Thomas Jefferson.
No, I
But
loved it. I love it. It was cool. It was cool, man. It was. I love the memes. I love the memes going on both sides. It was just funny. I love the memes.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the state of heavyweight because it's in a bit of an interesting position because there's a lot of really good guys in the top 10. A lot of younger guys too. Like we have Cyril Gahn. I think he's only 30. You're only 28. You're going to be coming up. Curtis Blades. I think he's in his early 30s. Tom Aspinall. I think is 29. So there's a lot of young talent, but also the division's kind of on hold a little bit because Jon Jones is supposed to be fighting Stipe. Jon Jones got hurt. And now Tom Aspinall is the interim champion, and they're sort of in this weird position where maybe Tom Aspinall is going to be defending an interim title while we wait for Jon Jones to come back and fight Stipe. I wanted your opinion on that. Do you think Jon Jones should be fighting Stipe for the belt, defending his belt? Do you think he should vacate the belt? Because some people even say Jon Jones is such a star, he doesn't need the belt, just vacate, let him fight Stipe, then they can both retire, and let Tom Aspinall, fight Cyril Gahn or Jailton Almeida, one of these guys.
Hmm.
So what's your take? What's your take on that?
It's John's a goat. I feel like
Absolutely.
and it sucks to say this because this is anything when it comes to boxing, any sport, your first fight back as a champ, you're supposed to fight the intern. So that's something that we always got accustomed to. UFC's always made it happen. Look at Brock
Yep.
Lesnar and Shane Carwin, you know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly.
Let's go back in the day. And so when Brock came back, he had to fight Shane Carwin. There was no other guy around Shane Carwin, and I think on that side, when you think of fighting, that is supposed to happen. Interim fights the champ when he comes back, and
Right.
but with the legacy that Jon Jones has and who he is, you kind of give him whatever he wants. Like he already said, he
Yep.
wanted Madison Square Garden to be his last fight. He had the shoulder surgery, so you kind of do give him what he wants. That's kind of like a goodbye. Thank you for everything,
Yeah.
and give him what he wants. But does it put the division on hold? Yeah, man, because it sucks. Because what he Arsenal defends that title, he wins, and then he eventually becomes the actual champ, and then you say he still has zero title defenses, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
you're like technically you're not the real champ, so it's a messed up world. But it's the heavyweight division is getting interesting. I just feel
Yep.
like obviously you give Jon Jones what he wants. Just give Jon Jones what he wants and let him ride it out to the end. Give him Stipe, let him have that title defense at heavyweight, and then you let Tom Aspinall do his reign, and whoever comes up they get fight for the title, let him do his thing. But if in all actualness, you fight Tom Aspinall coming back.
Right.
There's no other way around that. You fight Tom Aspinall. He's the interim champ. The interim champ should only be defending the belt until the actual champ comes back. So yeah, that's the situation I don't want to talk of because Jon Jones is Jon Jones.
Yeah, I agree. Jon Jones is the GOAT, and I think he's earned the right to pick his fight. But it is kind of interesting. The matchup, I like as a fight fan, I would like to see Jon Jones fight Tom Aspinall. Who do you think would win that fight? They probably won't fight, but if they did, who do you think takes that one?
You know, and I'm gonna say this because it's like every time we get a new guy, right? Every time we get that young, hungry,
Hmm.
new breed, that we get excited for, Jon Jones kind of dismantles him,
Yep.
and and we can say, no, no, Jon doesn't have it this time. But how many times in history have we said
Yep.
that Jon Jones couldn't beat this guy? It was like we said that with DC, then we said that with Dominic Reyes, they were like
Cyril
we said it with
Gahn.
so many, Cyril Gahn, so we said it so many times. So if we had to go with history, you're gonna have to go with Jon Jones. But I'm not saying I would want Jon Jones to lose because I want him to keep his record, but like if it had to be a guy to do it, and again, I'm gonna sound like everyone else. Tom Aspinall will be the guy to do it. You know what I mean? Like we've said
Yeah,
this many
yeah,
times. You know what I mean? Like we've said this. Like, oh yeah, yeah, this guy might be the one. So um, I would love to see that fight personally for me, and I would personally love to see Jon Jones win it only because it'll just be like he'll leave with a big fuck you to everybody. You know what I mean? Because that's
yep,
just kind of
yep,
how that's just Jon Jones. But it's tough to call, man. It's tough to call.
absolutely.
I really wouldn't know. But if I had to go with history, I would have to pick Jon Jones just to be on the and not even say safer side, just to say that's just what it is. That's just
Yeah,
how Jon
yeah.
Jones always been. So I would honestly, as a fan, love to see it. For the sport, being in the sport, I would love to see it. But I think Jon Jones will win.
Beautiful. I tend to agree. Most people are seem to be leaning towards Tom Aspinall right now. I think that's a little bit of recency bias. I still, how can you bet against Jon Jones, right? So but what I wanted to ask, because you mentioned in the post-fight interview, you were like, I want to slim up, come in a little bit more fit. So I wanted to ask you because Derek Lewis, he was a guy who used to say the same thing. He was like, I got to work on my cardio, I got to get fitter. And then there were memes around him because he slimmed down a lot. It was like the new mythical fighter was Derek Lewis with abs
Mhm.
and stuff. So just wanted to ask, is that something like you take motivation from? Like Derek Lewis, he was a big guy too. He lost a lot of the weight. He looked like he was in great shape. His last fight, I think he came in on short notice, but his fight before that, I mean, when he threw that flying knee
Mhm.
against Nascimento, I think it was. I mean, he
Mhm.
was in amazing shape. Do you look at like a guy like Derek Lewis and be like, yeah, he slimmed up. I can do it too.
No, it's just like people forget I used to be at 205. People forget I used to be the people forget
Yeah,
that I used
yeah.
to be people forget I was the athletic guy. I was the guy, before I took my big break, like I was the guy that was like everyone was like, damn, like the 6'3" frame, like, who was
Mhm.
slender with abs and shape. So, I feel like that's one of them things where now I gotta find it at the heavyweight weight class, with the big break and then coming back into training, it's just kind of like I just like, you know what, I'm just gonna stay here. I feel comfortable here. I don't have to cut that weight. I got a job on
Yeah,
top of this. So, it made it a little bit easier, for me just to stay at heavy. That's one thing. It made it easier to stay at heavyweight. But now, being leaner is just take away all the, I guess you want to say, the noise that people are going to say. You know what I
right,
mean? Do I
right.
still feel good? Yeah. Do I feel like I have the cardio for 15 minutes? Yeah. Do I feel like I can still wrestle? Yeah. Do I feel like I hit even harder? Yes. But, it's just something that I pride myself in, because I think about when you look at a champion, what a champion supposed to look like. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's kind of how my mind is. Like when I look at Joe Beta, in the weight class, it's like, I'm like, I can get down there. I can get to 245. I know for sure I can get to 240, 245,
Mhm.
250 and still be lean and look good at this weight class. So I always look at how do I improve for myself. And that's it. It's just how do I improve? What do I improve for myself? Make it easier for me. Maybe, cutting this fat puts 50 more punches in the totals, you know what I
Right.
mean, when I fight now. So, so I've always looked at things on the outside, of everything. It's like, okay, well, if I do this, my punch total goes up, my pace goes up even more, so I'm always trying to push the bar and challenge myself no matter the circumstances or things that are with me, so like I said, I work full time and I train full time. So it's a
Right.
hard thing to do, but if I'm the one, if I always told myself, if anyone can do it, I know I can. So, like let's do it. Let's make it
Yep.
happen. I do enjoy heavyweight. Honestly, I probably enjoy. It's funny to say, even though I fought 205, I'm less scared at heavyweight than I was at light heavyweight. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like so it's just like, and it's not that they suck or anything like that. It's not that at all. But I think I feel more comfortable here. You know what I mean? I've always been a bigger
Yep.
guy my whole life. I used to cut so much weight to 205. So I think that's why I enjoy heavyweight. But no, I'm gonna get in shape, get the abs, or shit, at least get a flat stomach. You know what I mean? I ain't got to get the
Yeah.
abs, but you know what I mean? Get the flat stomach and then, go from there. Just make it easier for me when I fight. You know what I mean? Just, bigger pace, more cardio,
Yep.
it's just that's some of the things that I look at overall.
We're excited to see it because we've seen other guys come up like DC. He came up from light heavyweight. And he started punching a lot harder. Jailton Almeida, he also used to fight at light heavyweight. I think his only loss is at light heavyweight. So we've seen it before, guys. They move up to heavyweight and they sort of feel more comfortable. We're excited to see it. Shout out to your job. I know they gave you 2 weeks off so you can train and stuff. I think you have an amazing story. We're really excited to see where your career goes from here. So thank you for joining us, and to the fans listening, keep an eye out for Jamal Pogues, because I think he's going to do big things in the UFC.